The World Cup is already in full swing, but there's a reason so many people are confused. The format changed. 48 teams, 3 countries, 104 games, 1 trophy. And a format so new that even die-hard fans are still figuring it out. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to explain the entire 2026 FIFA World Cup, where it's happening, how it works, who's going to win, and why this one is different from every World Cup that came before it, in about 10 minutes, maybe less. Stay with me, because by the end of this, you're going to sound like the smartest person in whatever room you're watching this in. Let's start with the thing everyone keeps saying but nobody explains. This World Cup is the biggest one ever. Not just slightly bigger, significantly bigger. Every World Cup from 1998 to 2022 had 32 teams. That was the standard. You qualified, you showed up, you played. Easy to understand. This one has 48 teams, that's 16 more countries, which doesn't sound insane until you realize that for a lot of those nations, just qualifying for a World Cup is a once-in-a-generation thing. We're talking countries that have never been to a World Cup. Countries where the entire nation stops when their team plays. Countries that don't make the highlight reel, until now. FIFA didn't do this out of the goodness of their hearts, by the way. More teams means more games. More games means more TV deals. More TV deals means more money. FIFA loves money. But also, more teams genuinely means more of the world gets to participate, which is kind of the whole point of a World Cup. The result? 104 total matches. The final is July 19th. This tournament runs for over 5 weeks. It's not just a tournament, it's a season. Here's where it gets interesting. The 2026 World Cup isn't being hosted by one country. It's being hosted by 3. The United States, Mexico, and Canada. All at the same time. This has literally never happened before. Ever. Mexico is hosting the opener. June 11th, Mexico City, the historic Estadio Azteca. That's the same ground where Diego Maradona scored the Hand of God goal in 1986. A little bit of history right there. Canada is hosting games for the first time ever. Toronto and Vancouver are both in it. And the United States? The US has 11 host cities. 11. We're talking Los Angeles, New York, Dallas, Atlanta, Miami, Seattle, Houston, Kansas City, Philadelphia, Boston, and San Francisco. The final is on July 19th at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey, also known for this tournament as New York, New Jersey Stadium, because FIFA renamed every single venue to match the host city, because apparently branding is very important to them. The semifinals are in Dallas and Atlanta. Think about that for a second. The 2 games that decide who goes to the World Cup final will be played in NFL stadiums. In theory, this 3-country setup sounds logistically chaotic. In practice, it's actually working, because these countries already have the infrastructure. Airports, hotels, stadiums, all already there. No building from scratch, no controversy about labor conditions, just show up and play. Well, mostly. Okay, this is the part that trips everyone up. So pay attention. The old World Cup had 32 teams in 8 groups of 4. Top 2 from each group moved on. You ended up with 16 teams in the knockout round. Simple. This one is different. 48 teams, 12 groups, 4 teams per group. Every team plays 3 games, 1 against each team in their group. Here's where it changes. The top 2 teams from every group advance automatically. That's 24 teams. But then, and this is the new part, the 8 best third-place finishers from across all 12 groups also advance. So 32 teams make it out of the group stage. And for the first time ever, there's a round of 32. That's a whole extra knockout round that didn't exist before. Then a round of 16, then quarterfinals, then semifinals, then the final. If you make it all the way, you play 8 games to win the World Cup. That's 1 more than before. This sounds simple. It isn't, because now third place actually matters. Teams that used to pack their bags and go home might survive based on how well they did compared to third-place teams in other groups. The math gets complicated fast, but the short version is it's harder to get eliminated early and harder to win the whole thing. More drama, more pressure, more reasons to keep watching. All right, 48 teams is a lot. You don't need to know all of them. You need to know the ones that actually have a shot. Let's run through it fast. Argentina, defending champions. FIFA's #1 ranked team, led by Lionel Messi, who is playing in what is almost certainly his last World Cup. Think about that. The greatest player of all time. One more shot, the entire planet will be watching every single game he plays. Spain, the favorites according to basically every expert panel going into this thing. They have an 18-year-old named Lamine Yamal who plays like he's already 30. Technically brilliant, tactically suffocating. If you haven't heard of Spain yet, you will. France, always dangerous. You know the type. A squad so deep in talent that they sometimes seem to win almost by accident. Kylian Mbappe, need I say more? England. Oh, England. The team that has been finally ready to win it for about 60 years now. But seriously, they have the squad. They have the depth. If not now, when? Brazil. 5-time champions. Currently in a bit of a rebuild. You never count them out, but they're not the force they once were. Still, it's Brazil. And then there's the United States, the host nation, playing in front of their home crowd, in cities they know, in stadiums they've played in before. That matters more than people think. History says host nations overperform. The question is whether this squad is good enough to make a real run, or whether the pressure of the moment becomes too much. Here's my personal take. The team most likely to surprise everyone is one you haven't thought about yet. There's always one. There's always a Morocco 2022, a Croatia 2018, a South Korea 2002. Whoever it is in 2026, we just don't know yet. That's the fun part. Let's talk about two storylines that will define this entire tournament. First, the host nation thing. The US, Canada, and Mexico all qualified automatically. They didn't have to go through the brutal 2-year qualifying gauntlet. That's a gift, but it's also a pressure cooker. The US is in Group D, alongside Paraguay, Australia, and Turkey. On paper, they should advance. But the World Cup has a way of making should feel very naive. They open June 12th at SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles. That game is going to be electric. Mexico opens the whole tournament, June 11th, Mexico City, against South Africa, in front of 80,000 people losing their minds. The atmosphere alone might be worth watching. Canada, Group B, opens against Bosnia and Herzegovina in Toronto. First home World Cup game ever for Canada. Let that sink in. Now, Messi. Lionel Messi is 38 years old. He won the World Cup in 2022 in what was one of the greatest individual tournament performances in history. He already has the trophy. He already has the legacy. So why is he still here? Because he loves it. And because the world wants one more chapter. Watch every Argentina game. Watch every Messi touch. You might be witnessing the last time the greatest footballer who ever lived plays on this stage. Whether you're a soccer fan or not, that's something. The group stage runs from June 11th to June 27th. That's over 2 weeks of constant games. Multiple matches every single day. You don't need to watch all of it. Pick a team, any team. Follow them through the group stage. The knockout rounds start June 28th. Round of 32 runs through July 3rd. Round of 16 is July 4th to 7th. Which, by the way, means knockout soccer on July 4th in America. That's going to be something. Quarterfinals are July 9th through 11th. Semifinals July 14th and 15th. Bronze medal match on July 18th. Which honestly nobody wants to play in, but it's still a World Cup game. And then the final of July 19th. New York, New Jersey Stadium. 82,500 people. In the knockout rounds, if it's tied after 90 minutes, you get 30 minutes of extra time. If it's still tied after that, penalty shootout, which is the cruelest, most beautiful, most heart-destroying thing in all of sports. Grown men cry, entire countries hold their breath, and it comes down to a player, alone, 12 yards from the goal with the weight of a nation on their back. Soccer, man. Here's the thing about a World Cup in North America. Soccer, football, has been trying to truly break through in the United States for decades. The 1994 World Cup helped. MLS grew, but it's always been fighting for attention against the NFL, NBA, MLB, and everything else. This time is different. The sport has changed in America since 1994. MLS has 29 teams now. Young Americans grew up watching the Premier League. Lionel Messi plays for Inter Miami. The culture shifted, and 104 games happening on American soil in cities people actually live in has a way of making things feel real. If a kid in Dallas watches the semifinal at AT&T Stadium and falls in love with the game, that's a fan for 60 years. FIFA knows this. The US Soccer Federation knows this. This tournament is as much about the future as the present. Meanwhile, the rest of the world doesn't need to be convinced. They've been obsessed for a century. For them, this is simply the most important sporting event alive, and it's finally back. Remember where we started? The biggest sporting event on the planet. And most people watching had no idea what was going on. Now you do. 48 teams, 3 countries, 12 groups, A brand new round of 32, Messi chasing history, Spain as the favorite, the US playing at home for the first time in 32 years. A final in New York on July 19th that will be watched by an estimated 2 billion people. Here's the one sentence that sums it all up. The 2026 World Cup is the largest, most expensive, most watched, most complicated, and most emotionally stakes-laden sporting event in human history. And it's happening right now, in our backyard. The only real question left is this. When the final whistle blows on July 19th, who do you think is going to be holding that trophy? Drop your prediction in the comments. And if you want to actually understand what you're watching when the knockout rounds hit, subscribe. We'll break down every big game as it happens. See you there. See you.